Well, hello. Hey guys, today is Wednesday, October 21st. Um, Last night activity was pretty light for what we're used to here. Uh, Sorry, not sure what the reasoning behind that was, other than the first night here in a while, and we did have activity. Um, Maybe let me back this up. The activity we had last night was a lot more than, from my understanding, a lot of researchers have ever experienced. But for what we're used to here, it was a very light night. Um, we multiple twinkle lights. Um, we had Chuck. Chuck was the first one to get a little hello tingle. Wayne and myself, we both got zapped at the same time. And oh, sorry, it's myself, Chuck, and Wayne up here. So, anyway, Wayne and myself, we got zapped at the same time, and there was quite a few twinkle lights out last night. Um, just not to the level what we're used to up here. We did have at one point, Chuck and I both saw the shimmering image. Um, it was, I would say, 10 feet away from both of us. So we were sitting around the fire pit. And if you think about the fire pit being like a clock, I was sitting at the 3 o'clock position, and Chuck was sitting at about the 7 o'clock position, or maybe I was right about 2 o'clock. But directly in front of me and off to my right a little bit, I saw this distortion moving around, and I sat and I looked at it for a few minutes, because it was kind of dark out, and I was trying to determine if that's what I was seeing when Chuck asked if anybody could see the distortion that was directly in front of him. And as we were talking about it, after a few seconds, it disappeared, and so we both went to where we both saw it, and from his perspective and my perspective, we were only off about a foot, um, you know, X and Y axis, but um, it was just line of sight thing, where I was looking at it and where he was looking at it. We both could have been off just a fraction, but nonetheless, it was there. He could see the height of it because he had a little bit of skyline behind, in his line of sight. I had nothing but trees and mountains, so I couldn't. But he estimated about 8 foot tall. Um, wasn't there that long, but it was there. And the skunks. The skunks were out and about last night, and so that took a lot of our concentration. Sitting in the dark with skunks. Um, we'd all heard something down by Wayne's truck, so Wayne and I went down there to investigate, and you know, and I ended up having to turn on my red light to see what was making the commotion, and I didn't see anything. But when I turned the red light off, I saw black and white about 10-15 feet in front of us coming our direction. So I jumped back and I grabbed Wayne at the same time and yanked him back, and was skunk. And then we turned the red light back on and could see him, perfectly clear. And so we came back up, you know, 30 plus yards to where we were sitting at, and sitting up there, and the skunk kind of wandered over into my camp area, and you know, doing what skunks do, minus the spraying part, so that was nice. And I don't know, it was probably within 20 minutes. I was standing there listening to something off in the trees, and I just happened to look down, and guess who walked right past me down into the creek? Pepe Le Pew. And when I say right by me, I'm talking he was a foot away from me, and just doing his own thing. Went down into the creek bed and disappeared off into the nothingness. I have never had the pleasure of being sprayed by a skunk, and I don't ever want it. You know, my opinion on skunks is you know, and this goes off of when I was a kid. One of my best friends, they had two descented skunks, and they still stunk, but you know, like ferrets do. But you know, they were cool. You know, I liked playing with them, and you know, the personalities, and I think the cartoon got it pretty right. They're kind of like cats. You know, they just have that wonderful self-defense mechanism we all know about. I'm right here. Focus. Thank you. Um, yeah, so we had a lot of skunk activity, and I don't know. It was about 9:30. We called it a night and went to bed last night. And shortly after I went to bed, my camp stove, I heard something hit that, and you know, those Coleman camp stoves, you know, how they're made and what they're made of. They have a kind of a distinct tinny metal type sound when something hits them. Um, but something hit it. I don't know what it was. I know it wasn't a skunk. Skunk couldn't get to it. I know it wasn't a raccoon. Raccoon couldn't get to it. Where you know how it's set up. Um, and had it been been a raccoon, the two pies and the package of donuts I had sitting on the table by the stove. Uh, well, that's the end of that story, right? So something mysterious hit the stove. I don't know what it was. You know, it could have been a bat. Who knows? Um, Sometime in the middle of the night, and I have not been through the audio yet, I got woke up to a scream, and it sounded like it came up the hill from where we are. Um, you know, could have been a coyote, could have been a cat, or it could have been a forest person. Um, you know, it pulled me out of a sleep, so I didn't get um, you know, a clear listen to it. And so once I finally go through the audio, you know, I'll be able to determine what it was. But yeah, so you know, for what we're used to up here, you know, it's why we call it Crazy Town, because all the crazy stuff that happens up here. Um, but nothing super crazy last night, so we'll keep our fingers crossed for tonight, and you know, hopefully the skunks have figured out there's nothing here for them to eat, and they'll go elsewhere. Doubt it. But yeah, so hope for good activity tonight, and I'm planning on staying up late, so we'll see what happens. You know, I got a little bit of a nap, about a half-hour nap. I tried to lay down in my tent, but it's just too damn hot inside the tent. It's probably 120 degrees inside my tent, just because you know, it's a dark rust tent, so it has black liner inside and the sun shining on it, so it's hot in there. So I took a blanket and I laid it down in the grass by the creek, and and kind of went old school and got about a half-hour nap laying on the ground by the creek. And now I'm up and ready to get things going. Chuck is still taking his nap, and Wayne is out tooling around on his side-by-side. He went up to Fred Flintstone's living room. And if you want to know what Fred Flintstone's living room is, go into my archives and scroll through the videos, and I've got one in there of Fred Flintstone's living room. It's worth it. Go back and look. It's pretty cool. Anyway, that's all I got on this one. Updates from last night, and we'll see what happens tonight. I'm hoping for a good night. But that's it, y'all. Peace out.